Hello everyone, my name is Jackie and today I have for you my wrap up for the month of February until May because I haven't filmed a wrap up since January. So at the beginning of February I started feeling a bit slumpy and that the first thing that stopped was YouTube. But at least for February I still read a lot and then not so much. So I'm going to just pack all these months and the books I read into this video. It's not that many because, as I said, I didn't read very much. Let's get into it. So the first book I read in February is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I borrowed the copy from a friend, so I don't have it on me, but I'm definitely going to buy one. It's about Zachary, who finds a book where a story from his life is written into. So he tries to figure out what's going on and meets Dorian and Mirabelle and gets into this whole conspiracy and he's hunted and there are painted doors through which he can go, and it's all very magical and whimsical and very difficult to explain because it's not very a plot-driven story. It very much lives from the writing, which is very lyrical and poetic, and the world building, which is amazing, but it's not like it's not so much about the plot, it's not even very much about the characters, it's very much about the world and about the words being used. But it's a book about books, which was why I wanted to read it. So I absolutely adored it and I gave it 5 stars. So the next book I read is Frostblood by Ellie Blake. This is a rather old YA fantasy and it's absolutely YA fantasy. It's so typical YA fantasy and I was so there for it. It was so great to read. It's about Ruby, who is a Fireblood, which is illegal where she lives because you have to be a Frostblood or you have to have no magic at all. And her village gets attacked and destroyed and she wants to get revenge, so she has to travel to the court of the Frost King, and on the way there she meets Arcus, who is a Frostblood rebel who's helping her, but she can't be quite sure if he's friend or foe. And yeah, it's just so typical YA, it's so cliche and it was so fun to read. It's not very long either. I can't wait for the second one and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. So the next 2 books were rereads in preparation for the third book, which is the Heartstopper comic series by Alice Oseman, and I absolutely adore this series. It's about Nick and Charlie, who go to an all-boys school, and Charlie is openly gay and befriends Nick, and Nick starts to question his sexuality. It's just so cute. I mean, the artwork and the dude, they have such a beautiful friendship and then such an amazing relationship. They're just absolutely perfect together. Yeah, it's very light and heartwarming. So I can't wait for the next one to come out, which is in, I think, February next year. So yeah. And all 3 of these got 5 stars. The next book I finished is The Wicked King by Holly Black. I listened to this on audiobook in preparation for the last book. This is the sequel to The Cruel Prince, and The Cruel Prince was about Jude, who got kidnapped to Fairyland together with her sister when they were little and grew up there, practically as part of the court, as part of the Fae world, but not really. And what she wants more than anything is to have her own part, be a part of the court, be a part of this world, be accepted in this world. And the first book is about her trying to get that, and also about Prince Carden, who is her main opponent. It's not the best thing there ever was, but it's entertaining and I really enjoyed it. Sadly, the second one isn't quite as good as the first one was, but I still gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is All the Wandering Light by Heather Fawcett. This is the sequel to Even the Darkest Stars, which was in a fairy loot ages ago, and it's a mountain climbing fantasy, which at the beginning I wasn't sure if I would like, but then I really enjoyed it. It's about Kemsin, who wants to be an explorer, and then River, the royal explorer, and his party arrive in her little village. So Kemsin is chosen to lead Tulid River and his group up on the mountain, and there's magic. And one thing I absolutely loved about this are the mini dragons that they're practically only using so that they will have light. They're using them quite so practically as lanterns, and the dragons are, I think, around the maybe as big as a cat or maybe a dog, but not much more, which sounds really cute, and I really want one of those. So this is the second one, and to be honest, I probably should have read the first one before diving into this, because I was a bit confused for very, very long. What I liked about this book is the world and the characters, but the plot twists, all the plot twists were so obvious from the beginning of the book. The only one that wasn't was brushed aside in only a couple of sentences, and then it was over with. So that was sad for me. I still enjoyed it, I had fun reading it, but it could have been better, so I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I read is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and that was something for me because I don't read thriller. Practically never. So this is about Alex Stern, who goes to Yale and become part of the Ninth House to make sure that the other houses who use magic don't get out of line, that they don't break any rules. But I don't know anymore. There's a lot going on, and someone disappears and someone dies, and she has to figure out what's going on. You have some jumps to before she went to Yale, some to before everything went wrong, and then what's happening at the moment, how she's trying to figure out how to make things right again. And I like the time jumps because Leigh Bardugo did it perfectly to just give us enough information to keep us reading, not answering everything and not holding too much back. She did an amazing job. What I would have loved was more information on the magic system. I really hope we get those in the next book. And also more information about the houses, because that was really interesting too. All in all, it's not quite my kind of book, but I still enjoyed it, so I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. But I still want to read the other books, and maybe I even will reread this. And the last book I finished in February is Woven in Moonlight by Isabel Ibanez. And that's a funny story because I never wanted to listen to audiobooks I haven't read before, because I tend to not listen all the time and then I'm a bit confused. But the narrator for this book has such a beautiful Spanish accent. I just had to listen to the audiobook for this, and I don't regret it. I absolutely loved it. So this is about Jimena, who is the decoy for the Contessa of her country, or her city. And when there were children, they were attacked, and now a man named Etok sits on the throne, and he wants to marry the Contessa. So her decoy, Jimena, gets sent to the castle, and she tries to overthrow the government from inside. The plan is for her to kill him, and also for her to send as much information as possible back to Caterina, the Contessa. It's inspired by Bolivian politics and history, which is also very interesting. I always adore the cover. This is a Fairy Loot exclusive, and it's really, really pretty. So I love the magic system, I love the characters. I had a lot of fun with this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So after that, my reading slump just broke me down completely, and I didn't read anything at all in March, which is sad. And in April I only finished 1 book, which is Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schulte. And that was not what I was expecting. It's about Karali and Warren, and they live in a country that's divided into 4 parts, and each part is very distinct. They all have their rules and everyone has to follow them. For example, Warren's part is very technic oriented, so there's no emotion at all, and those are ranked by 4 queens. And there are these memory chips, and Karali eats some of them and sees the 4 queens getting murdered. So she and Warren decide to try and solve the mystery and try to tell the police who killed the queens. in between the chapters that are told from Caroly's and Warren's perspective, you get both of them, there are also a lot of chapters told from the Queen's perspectives, from all four. And that was very interesting to me because each of their parts, each of their countries, let's say, is very distinct and they have to be exactly like that, but they're not all the same, they're all very different and they all have the secrets, and it was just very, very interesting to see and the different voices and what secrets they had, what kind of persons they all were and how different they all were. I did not see the plot twist coming. It was a bit far-fetched, but it worked. I enjoyed it. Yeah, my favorite characters in this book are Warren and Queen Cora. Both from the same country, district, I don't know what it's called in English because I read the German edition. But both are part of Ionia, who want to perfect everything. They want to perfect technology, they want to perfect humans, they're permanently working on genetics, and they're not allowed to have feelings, and both of them are just... And those are my favorite characters, because there is some hidden depth there in both of them. I enjoyed this a lot, it surprised me. I gave it 4 stars. And now on to May. The first book I finished was The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Once again, this is the German edition. And I think I started this book in February, and then my reading slam happened, and then I never finished it until May. So frankly, I was a bit confused by the time I finally picked it up again. So it's about Rin, who wants to become a soldier for the Empire. So she goes to this academy, and the first half of the book is pretty much every YA book but in fast forward, because I think she's 3 years at this academy and it all happens in 300 pages. And after that there's a war starting, and then it gets really interesting. And sometime during her time at the academy she discovers that she has some magical powers. She can practically she can use godly powers, and she decides to pursue that instead of just becoming a warrior. And it's... I don't know, I can't explain it. Problem is, the only thing I remember even remotely clearly is from the second half of the book, and I don't want to spoil you. But a lot of people really love this book. I can't really tell you because it took me so long to get through, but then I flew through the end, so that has to count for something, doesn't it? Overall, I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm definitely going to read the second one, and I'm really trying to read it faster so that I then can actually remember what I want to say about it. I also read in May Bone Cry's Moon by Catherine Purdy. This is another FairyLoot book, and one I've seen around and I actually never wanted to buy. While I really love the cover because it's beautiful, it looked for me very much YA, and I wasn't feeling like picking something like this up at the moment. But then it came in FairyLoot, and I just decided to participate in the read-along for this book, and oh my, did I love it. It's about Ailez and Sabine, who are bone criers. Bone criers are born, and their job is to ferry the souls of the dead to the underworld or to heaven, depending. And if they don't do this, the dead will start to attack the people. The bone criers have to kill men. 1 man each, their soulmate, so that they then can do their job. If they can't kill their soulmate, they can't do their job. And it's about Bastien, whose father was killed by a bone crier when he was small, and so he decided to take revenge on the bone crier, and he wants to kill them, and he randomly picks Ailez. But there are some things happening, so he can't kill her, and he takes her with him. I adore the characters. So Ailez is the daughter of the matron, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry, of their group of bone criers, and she's her heir, and she constantly tries to impress her, but nothing is ever good enough. And her best friend Sabine doesn't want to be a bone crier, she doesn't want to kill, so the bone criers don't really like that either. And yeah, and then there's Bastien, who is just very, very hurt. I love the magic system. I can't wait for the second one. I want to know how they come out of this, how they get out of this mess, so that they're at the end all alive, please, because they are all amazing. And I gave it 5 stars. And the last book I read in May is The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep. Once more, this is the German edition. The author is H.G. Perry, and it's about Charlie, who is a professor for literature, and he can read characters out of books. And about his brother Rob, who constantly comes to help him fix his messes. And one day, Uriah Heep, a character from Charles Dickens' David Copperfield, I think, escapes. And he talks about this new world. Then another Uriah Heep turns up at Rob's law firm, and something is very, very wrong. So he goes back to his brother and they talk to Sherlock Holmes, because Sherlock Holmes can help them. And they discover this secret street that doesn't really exist, but is there. And it's a fictional street full of fictional characters who all came to life. There's another reader who can read figures out of books, and he wants to build a new world. And they don't know what exactly that means, yeah. But there's practically a war between the two, and the real people, they're not fictional people, don't even know about this. Except for Rob, of course, because he helps his little brother. Their relationship is, I think it's one of the most real sibling relationships I've ever read. Because Rob is constantly annoyed by Charlie, but he really, really loves him, and he's so protective over him. And yeah, it's just a really amazing relationship between those two. It took me a while to get into. It's a lot sometimes, but at the end I was so sucked into it, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So that are 14 books I read in 4 months. If you've read any of these books, let me know down below what you thought. Let's talk about these books. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!